For Dover, Deal and Sandwich, this is DCR.
It's Saturday the 30th of April and this is Terry Cleaver here on Dover Seafront reporting for Dover Community Radio. With me I have two members of the Agency for Coastal Integration in Dover who have been touring the town today with their exhibition. Hi guys, so what's your names?
My name's Adam Hiles.
Hello, and I'm Richard Saunders.
And you're architecture students, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. We're postgraduate architecture students at Canterbury School of Architecture, which is part of a University for the Creative Arts across Kent. And we've recently been involved in a design thesis unit, which has been looking at the expansion of the port in Dover, the relationship between Dover and the port itself, and kind of future expansion and development of the town and port together, really. So what we've tried to do today is bring some of our design work out into the public realm. So we've set up this Agency for Coastal Integration in Dover, which is our public initiative to try and bring real architecture design work into the community for people to see what we've been doing, to try and talk about some of the issues that are affecting the expansion of the port, to see how much people in Dover have actually got to participate in these developments, and to offer our own alternative ideas, suggestions and concepts, just to kind of stimulate conversation and discourse, really. So we've been taking our mobile exhibition, which is based in the back of a specially adapted van, around several key locations in Dover. We started off at the White Cliffs car park, and we've also been in the town centre near Penchester Gardens, and down here at Seafront as well. And we've spoken to lots of interesting and engaging people who've had some really good ideas. It's been good feedback to what we've shown, which has been very nice, and we're very happy and thankful for the support that we've been shown today. And it's just been really interesting and nice to see how genuinely interested people in Dover are in the development of the town and what's going on, and to be so receptive to our ideas. So it's been really good.
So is that why you actually picked Dover then, because of the expansion of the port?
Well, basically in architecture schools they teach groups of students in different units, each of which have their own particular themes for the year, which they try to explore through design work. Our particular unit chose Dover, yes, because of the expansion plans, because of its kind of role as an important gateway to the country, because of the interesting kind of architectural and infrastructural implications of the port, and its close relationship with the physical relationship with the town, and of course it's right on our doorstep, so it's somewhere that we've all been to and know, but it's been a really good opportunity for us to come and study it in quite a lot of detail, really get to know what's going on here and get involved in the real kind of social and political issues that are going on.
So you both got two designs with two different aspects of the port. Could you please tell us a little bit about your design?
Yep, my design focuses on the western docks, taking on board the current proposal to increase it to four more ferry bays. Using this proposal, I add a landscape layer on top, which could become almost like a large public event space, which would draw in crowds from across the Channel and also from across England. By doing this, it would make Dover a location to visit.
So what made you actually come up with that idea?
Well, I suppose it was just kind of studying Dover and seeing that there's this definite separation between the port and the town, and only through, as the port is so large, only through kind of large-scale infrastructural adjustment can you maybe begin to reconsider the town with these kind of radical ideas.
So you've got an idea as well, and that's focused on the docks. What exactly is your idea?
Well, my design looks at the idea of the expansion of the port and how we might consider the expansion of the port and the kind of evolution of the town as one possible thing. The idea that flows of traffic might find a new role by being routed through the town, that businesses and shops in the town might benefit from a closer proximity to the traffic that uses the port. The idea that public space in Dover might become equally areas where people waiting to get on ferries and other such things might find something to do. In other words, the millions of cars and passengers that pass through the Dover port every year are a kind of potential massive target market for Dover that they don't get to see anything of. The idea that the two might be brought together in a physical sense, and therefore the kind of social and economic implications of that are really what kind of drives my design idea. The fact that there might be something really interesting coming out of the idea of literally putting together these two very detached things.
So out of both your ideas, which one has received the most positive feedback?
I'd say in equal proportion, really. People do like the idea of putting some kind of large event space in Dover, or putting something to kind of generate more interest rather than just drive past it. And then people also liked Adam's, the idea of a really radical idea, really rethinking the way that we maybe design a port or integrate it into a town.
So if you were the town planners for Dover, how would you actually go about changing it? Would you do these ideas or think of other ideas for the town?
Well, personally, I think that what we've seen today is that the people of Dover are actually incredibly interested, incredibly motivated in the actual issues that are concerning the relationship between the port and the town. Everybody knows that the traffic that comes out of the port completely bypasses the town, and that it's totally infrastructurally segregated from the port, which has been one of the primary reasons for its kind of recent decline, or not so recent decline. And so obviously there's a real impetus in the town for people to want to actually take part in coming up with ideas for how these issues might become resolved. Everyone we've spoken to today has had their own ideas, their own thoughts and opinions, and it's obviously a massive communal issue. Obviously there are things like the Dover People's Ports Bid, which are real kind of attempts by large numbers of the public to potentially participate in these issues in a very real sense. But even on a kind of town planning and basic communal interaction sense, the idea of bringing people together to talk about these ideas is something that seems to have been lacking. And I think, to be honest, if everyone kind of was allowed to take part in discussing the future of Dover, I think that would be of great benefit to everyone.
So you're doing some more events locally. Please could you tell us a little bit about them?
Well, we are both of us showing our design work along with those of several of our other colleagues from Canterbury School of Architecture at the Old Sorting Office, which is an event being organised by Dover Arts Development, and is happening on the 6th to the 8th of May. You can find out a little bit more about this by going to www.thisisenglanduca.blogspot.com, which is the blog site for that particular event. There's going to be a number of architectural propositions made there, some of them quite sensible, some of them quite radical. There's a whole range of stuff going on. Basically, it's just kind of like opening up some of the ideas we've had to the general public in Dover, just to see what they think. We'd just be really interested to see what people think about it all.
So architecturally, what interests you most about the town from the buildings you've seen whilst you've been here today?
Well, I think for us actually, it's going to sound strange, but to us the port is actually a really beautiful thing. Everyone looks at it and think, oh, it's a horrible concrete mess of kind of overhead roadways and gantry signs and things like that. But there's something really kind of amazing about it. When you're standing up on the cliffs in the car park looking down on it, it's an absolutely fascinating landscape. Likewise, the port has some really interesting spaces. There's some interesting old buildings. There's the church and various other things that, if kind of people were to know about some of these things and to know about some of the, not just buildings, but events initiatives, organisations and other such things that make up the kind of identity of the town, then perhaps this idea of kind of combining the two isn't such a crazy one after all.
So you mentioned the word identity there. What do you both think of the identity of the town, and what is the identity of the town from your points of view?
Well, from my point of view, I think people perceive it as a port, and the town is often ignored. You see, the Port of Dover even has its own flag, and people see it as a kind of passing through destination. And both our ideas explore maybe ways in which you can get people to engage with Dover and how it could really become a good location. So in terms of identity, I think for the future, if it is to have more of an identity and more of a sense of place, it needs to engage with the port, and likewise.
For me, I think it would be quite a fascinating thing to think that one might visit a port and at the same time be visiting a town. That's not something that is obviously currently the situation in Dover, nor is it very much the situation in a lot of port towns. The idea that the town itself might be kind of fully ingrained into the operations of the port, that kind of passport control systems and waiting areas might be just as seen as just as important a part of the town as churches and high streets and other such things, is quite an interesting idea, and one that I think would perhaps be of benefit to Dover. The idea that whilst you're waiting for your ferry, you might, peruse the high street and do various other things that you would perhaps do in a town, could be a very unique selling point, and would actually add a level of experience to using the port and going by ferry that currently isn't there, and would offer something very different to other kind of modes of transport with respect to crossing the channel.
Personally, you've obviously both studied the Western Docks proposals in depth. What do you think of their ideas?
Well, I think it's fairly obvious and a general opinion that it is kind of more or less the same deal. It's the same functionality of the Eastern Docks. They have proposed a filling part of the marina, which I know people don't like very much, and replace it with a slightly smaller new marina. There is some proposals for hotels and to continue the beach going round on a kind of curve, but I still don't think it's enough integration, really.
Yes, hence the name of our agency for coastal integration. No, really, the idea that really the current expansion plans don't give any sort of indication of how this new master plan really is going to have a sort of beneficial effect on the town, other than increasing the number of vehicles using the port. In many ways, there was an opportunity to consider the kind of relationship between particularly the seafront and the town, and whilst this forms elements of the master plan, it's not really one of the main driving points. And I think if the master plan was to be properly successful, then it would address these kind of social and urban issues in its immediate context, beyond just the kind of intentions of the port's need to expand.
And finally, how can people find out more about your agency for coastal integration in Dover?
Well, we're now on Twitter, twitter.com/acid_exhibition. You can find us on there. We'll be hoping to continue updating that. We're going to be publicising what we've been doing today and some of the feedback we've been getting. We've been asking people to draw some of their own ideas. We've been asking people to fill out questionnaires, trying to get a general sense of what people think about certain issues, and we're hoping to draw these up into other things that people can use to explore Dover, and hopefully they'll be making their way out into the town soon for you to have a look at.
Okay, thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.
For Dover, Deal and Sandwich, this is DCR.